Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hinterland's Oneshot, episode 18.
Welcome to the island.
That again? Oh, my word. Today we're talking about religion again.
Did I not clean this glass or what? Or is that in the bottom?
I don't know. Why are you talking about your glass all of a sudden?
Yeah, sorry, just the glare from the computer and you.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to hear about religion, you can skip this episode. But if you want to hear about religion, you can listen to this episode.
Wait, what?
What? We're talking about religion, aren't we?
I was looking on this glass trying to figure out, like, if it was on the inside or the outside, and then suddenly you were talking about religion. Sorry.
No, I'm talking about how we're about to talk about religion.
Okay.
That's the topic for today. Not religion in general, but religion in specific.
Well, this stemmed from, I believe, a tweet that I screenshotted from someone on Twitter. Obviously, it was a tweet from Twitter. And
yes.
It says, Kanye will create more Christians than anyone else in this generation. Praise the Lord. Bless Kanye. And immediately, it didn't sit right with me for what someone else said. Kanye will create more Christians. And I was just thinking, all I can think is that it's quite possible that the guy finally got fed up with his, extremely questionable life and all the creepy imagery he has in his music videos and albums and everything. But more than likely, he's not going to create a bunch of Christians. He's going to have a bunch of his sycophants go, "Oh yeah, cool, man," and maybe listen to some worship music that he puts out. But they're not that likely to go to church and actually learn about Jesus, especially when you Google Kanye testimony and all you get is a feel-good, 7-minute talk about God that doesn't have anything solid in it.
I predict that he's going to have a couple of albums that are worship music, and then he'll have an album claiming that they were all about himself.
I think it's perfectly plausible that maybe he's actually repented and has found God. The problem is that he's literally claimed to be God before, hasn't he?
I'm pretty sure that was like the whole point of at least one of his albums. He called himself Yeezus and had like a picture of himself with a crown of thorns and like white robes and all the imagery.
Well, the problem is that he could completely turn his life around, but if he doesn't decide to do it out of the public eye, he's quite likely to just keep leading people. It's a giant
PR stunt at that point.
Not necessarily. I mean, so once somebody's got a microphone in their hand, they could become a Christian. But if they're a baby believer and they don't know what they're talking about, so they just run their mouth off, they're still leading people. They're not helping anyone.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's right to say absolutely unequivocally that this is not real or that this is Satan misleading people, but I think it's definitely going to be used that way by Satan.
I think it's too bad that there's a lot of people who are super fans who are going to think this is true just because he said it was true. Right from the get-go. And they're not going to approach it with caution. They're just going to think, oh, Kanye's given his life to Jesus. Praise Kanye. Praise the Lord.
Okay, they didn't say praise Kanye. They said praise the Lord, bless Kanye.
Well, they also said Kanye was going to cause Christians. Or create Christians, which is a weird thing to say. It's a weird turn of phrase.
All you have to do is spend a few minutes on YouTube looking at stuff about Hillsong to see that there is a huge movement of, quote, Christians who are really just young people who need to latch on to something. They need some bigger purpose in their life. So they go to Hillsong because it's big and it's flashy and there's music and it makes them feel really good. And I think that's a lot of what church is to some people nowadays, and I see that in some people that we're acquainted with, is that their method of bringing people into the church is to make a big spectacle out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mistake because you give people an emotional reaction, which there certainly is some of that, when you actually, meet Jesus. But you're giving people the impression that they've actually accomplished something or come to God because they feel good.
Yeah, there's also the problem of I have trouble believing that megachurches are a healthy denomination or healthy churches, based solely upon the fact that when it comes down to brass tacks, like hard orthodoxy, the truths of the Bible, it turns people off. And unless you really know Jesus and are really dedicated to Jesus, you're just gonna think it's too hard. You know what I mean?
Well,
and that's why in the Bible it talks about how people will be persecuted, and there will not be a large contingency of Christians. Is your glass empty?
No, there's something in it.
We'll drink it.
No.
It's sitting in alcohol. It's sanitized. Whatever it is, it won't hurt you.
Looks like a crumb.
Well, alcohol-soaked crumb? Pretty good. Anyway, extra large, mega churches with hundreds of thousands of attendees. There's no way they're all Christians. I would even go so far as to say half of them aren't Christian.
Well,
because there's no way they're preaching hard theology and drawing that sort of crowd. You know what I mean?
It's been said before that, and I think it holds true, that if you go to a church that is just teeming with people, they're not teaching the Bible.
Yeah, right. It's soft. It's milk and honey, and they don't talk about hell because hell hurts people's feelings. And
we have gone to a church that I felt like did not actually have very solid teaching most of the time, but funnily enough, there were people who left because they got offended anyway.
Yeah.
So that really says something about a lot of churches nowadays. But I was going to say about Hillsong, you'll find videos of people saying, oh, well, it just makes me feel good. I come here every Sunday. I don't really believe all that Old Testament stuff, but, feelings and stuff. When
I was young, I went to church camp. And this is a complete aside. Here's a little side story, a little anecdote. I think I've told you this story before. I met a girl, and we talked about music. I was really young. I was 12, 13. We talked about music, and she was really into Marilyn Manson. And I was isn't Marilyn Manson not good music? And she says, when I'm feeling down and sad, depressed, because she's a teenage girl or whatever, I just listen to Marilyn Manson, and he makes me feel better.
Right.
This is to demonstrate that music that you listen to that just makes you feel better is not theologically sound all the time.
I think that's a reason that...
And because if you listen to something because it makes you feel better, that's not a great reason to listen to it necessarily.
I kind of doubt it made her feel better. It probably just made her feel emotional and deep and stuff. I remember some of the crap I listened to when I was a teenager, and my parents shouldn't.
Some Marilyn Manson?
No. But my parents should have taken my iPod away. And just, parents need to be aware of what their kids are listening to. There's a lot of garbage out there. And, I think
it was Kesha, wasn't it?
No, I didn't listen.
Seem to have a soft spot for Kesha, though.
It gets stuck in your head.
I couldn't tell you the lyrics or the name of any Kesha song right now.
You know why?
All. Not a single one.
Because the year before...
They're also... Sorry, I cut you off.
I could start singing one.
Don't do it.
They're all really similar. She's got such a whiny, distinctive sound. But no, the year before I moved here and we met, I worked in a couple of coffee shops, and they all had Sirius XM, and there was a lot of popular music that was playing all the time, and so I got a lot of the current hits of that year.
Oh, right.
Well,
I derailed you, I know.
Yeah, I was just saying,
talking about Hillsong and
music. No, teenagers listen to a lot of crappy music that makes them feel really deep and emotional, and they have thoughts and stuff. and feel things that only they feel and nobody understands, and their parents just need to take their crappy music away.
And do what? Give them
classical music or something.
The golden oldies?
Yes.
The old-time rock and roll that Ma and Pa used to listen to?
Make them listen to classical music.
Classical, like Led Zeppelin?
Like, you know what? I got a lot of writing done listening to In the Hall of the Mountain King. Anyway, that was all a big aside to say that I've seen a lot of evidence to see that, yes, some people do the Hillsong thing and seem to be Christian.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of evidence to show that people who get involved in mega churches just don't think very deeply.
Yeah, it's real hard for me to imagine that hard theology draws a crowd. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. You can go to any church that teaches hard theology, that crowd won't be big. It won't be Joel Osteen big. No way.
Well, and we came across...
It won't be Hillsong big.
We came across a video about Joel Osteen while we were trying to look up stuff on this Kanye West turnaround.
Yeah.
And actually we came across a little snippet on Beyonce Mass from a year ago. And it was really icky. It was like, black women are ultra spiritual.
It was super
God
racist.
gives like a special message to women of color.
Yeah.
We are powerful. My voice is here to share the message with all of y'all.
Alright, no, don't peek out the levels here.
Sorry. It's really hard not to get loud when you're... it's really hard for women not to do that. And that's why I think putting a mic in the hand of a woman and saying, here, share the message of God is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I think that, quite aside from the fact that women had to hold on to their children and keep them from, being disruptive, I think that's one of the reasons that in the Bible women were not supposed to speak up is because they start being rambly.
Well.
Emotional.
Yes, I think that emotion has its place, but it's not a great teaching tool because then you end up, as the student, you end up learning the emotion that's inherent.
Is that safe?
It's fine.
Okay.
Just don't touch it.
I can see a cat jumping up there.
Yeah. I think that learning from a logical basis is much better because emotion is not logical. Very often. You can be angry about something and be completely illogical and therefore not telling the truth when you speak.
Well, I think a huge... Not to cut you off for you. Okay. I think a huge problem nowadays, though, and this is, I think, just a pushback of the culture, is that people assume that because women are just emotional, communicate emotionally and feel things in a different way than men, is that that's the only way that you can communicate with women. I've seen that in a lot of stuff recently. I saw a post the other day saying, hey, this thing's about to happen. How do I convince this person about this? And I'm not going to go into that. But one of the comments I saw was, oh, well, if it's a woman, then you appeal to their emotions. And I thought, that is such a sucky thing to say. Like, yes, women are emotional, but that doesn't mean you dumb things down.
Well, in a perfect world, a perfect theologically grounded world, a biblical world, men use logic to teach other men, who then entreat to their wives on an emotional level, because it's the only person a man ought to be super emotional with is his wife, and he can bring it to her. You know what I mean? He can.
There's plenty...
That seems to make sense to me.
Well, think of it this way: there are plenty of...
We're getting all kinds of sexist on this podcast. It's great.
Hey, I'm pregnant and barefoot most of the time.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Well, there's plenty of stories throughout the Bible of women, doing the logical thing or, behaving in a logical or smart, clever way. I mean, think of, what was the name of David's second wife?
I don't remember.
The one he stole from that guy.
I'm bad at this. At this game. I don't have a Bible next to me.
He stole the wife of Nabal and decided not to slaughter Nabal and his entire family and servants because his wife did something clever and appealed to David's ego. Throughout the Bible, there's plenty of times when women were clever and extremely manipulative. And that's not to say that they were being emotional. I mean, certainly women are very emotional, but I think that's a lot to do with the culture that has dumbed everyone down, including men, to needing to be emotionally appealed to.
Sure.
Instead of logically. And even women on the conservative side, in big air quotes, conservative side, still behave extremely emotionally. And it just bugs me to no end, especially when I hear men say stuff like, and I don't know if they're doing it because they actually believe it, or they think it's the nice little, I'll give you this little inch, to say that they believe abortion is okay in cases of rape and incest. Like, no. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
Don't give that inch. Just
draw the line and stay on your side of it.
Yeah.
Don't step over it at all. Don't toe the line, rather. I was just thinking that Spock. I was thinking about Spock just now.
Well,
Spock
is the logical
yeah.
jump.
You're funny. Spock is a sort of character that I don't think would exist in any sort of modern storytelling.
Well, look at what they've done to Spock in the movies and the new TV show. I just saw a thing on that the other day. They've womanized him.
The new TV show?
Apparently, Spock makes an appearance in one of the Star Trek TV shows.
I
saw a video about it. They womanized him.
Huh. Yeah, they made him emotional, didn't they?
Yeah, and they gave him a girlfriend.
See, that's...
who's always in turmoil. They're always in a tumultuous relationship.
Oh, yes, because Spock is so emotional and...
he feels things very deeply.
Oh, yeah, they're just super, super deep, right?
Yeah.
No, like, the original Spock is, a pretty...
He's got Asperger's.
Well, yes, but he also seems like... he seems like a good, manly role model, almost. You know what I mean? Like, he uses logic to solve problems, and he keeps his emotions out of things because that's where truth is found, is in logic. Until emotion is useful to him, and he doesn't understand it, but it is a useful thing. It's just not utilized very often, because it probably shouldn't be when you're trying to solve problems and be truthful. You know what I mean?
Did you...
It's just a really smart character, and I don't think they could ever write a character nowadays and have it accepted by society, because society as a whole has been emotionalized. And think about all those videos you watch of these boneheads on college campuses that are protesting people like Michael Knowles and protesting dudes who just want to try and speak truth. They say there's only two genders, and they freak out, and they have all this emotion, and they want to fight, and they get all angry, and that's all just emotion. They don't say, oh, now logically, there are differences in chromosomes and fast-twitch muscle tissue. Maybe there are only two genders, you know?
Yeah. Well, we were just watching a Fleckus Talks video this morning.
That's what I was thinking about.
And he asked them, what would you say to Michael Knowles? F you, man. F you.
Yeah.
F Candace Owens.
Yeah.
F blah, blah.
And then he's like, do
that's...
you think you could pick him out of a crowd? No, I don't think so. You don't know what he
I
looks
just
like?
saw a poster, man.
Yeah, have you ever heard him talk? No, I don't think so.
Well, it's just...
So he doesn't know anything about him, but he's real angry. Come on. Try and think things through a little bit. Just try and not use your lizard hindbrain, your reactionary, angry side, and just dampen that down a little bit for once in your life. It's weird. It's a weird society we live in where people are geared towards anger and
low testosterone, but high aggression.
Yes, exactly.
To get back to what you were saying about Star Trek and Spock a little bit, did you watch the Critical Drinker breakdown of what was it called? Not Into Darkness. Was it Into Darkness? With
the
Khan?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you watch that with me?
Oh, probably, but I don't remember. I don't know what you're getting at.
Oh, he was talking, I think it was Critical Drinker, as we're sitting here drinking whiskey, talking
I drink it.
About just how bad it is compared to the original. And, I liked Into Darkness, but after watching this video, I'm like, yeah.
It wasn't as good.
I kind of see it, because he was talking specifically about how they changed Spock's character, how they put McCoy in the background. They replaced him basically with Uhura, and they made Kirk into just an idiot.
Yeah.
Into this emotional idiot who can't take orders, doesn't respect the chain of command. Like, it didn't occur to me because it'd been so long since I watched the old ones, but when he actually was talking about it, I was like, yeah, I agree with all this. Because he was talking about kind of what you were saying about the decision-making and the understanding the necessity for human emotion, stuff like that. He was talking about how in the original, between the three of them, McCoy, Kirk, and Spock, they made one really well-rounded person.
Oh, interesting.
To do decision-making.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty well stated.
I wonder if that was originally part of, like, Gene Roddenberry's writing, to, like, split one person into three aspects and have them all different characters, because if that's true, that's a crazy thing to do and super cool, and I'm going to have to watch all Star Trek again to see if it's true.
We do have it, right?
Well, we have all the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a great... Write that down. You should write that down in a book. You should write a book where that's your device.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. Anyway, smart analysis. I never thought of it that way.
Well, credit Critical Drinker.
Yeah, we gotta credit someone, if it was even him.
I'm pretty sure it was. He was not overly impressed with what they did with Khan.
Yeah, that first Khan movie is so good. I remember watching it, because I watched it with you for the first time, right?
Did you?
As an adult, yeah.
Oh.
I feel like I might have.
I watched
I was blown away by how good it was. Like, it's really, really good.
Out of order on VHS from the library.
Oh man, you just dated yourself?
Yeah, I watched a bunch of stuff on VHS from the library before everything went to DVD.
Yep. Good old VHS. So, back to Kanye. Let's talk about Kanye some more. Do you think he's part of the Illuminati? There's a conversation started.
I don't know. We have not looked into that conspiracy stuff in that arena for quite a few years. I feel like Mark Dice was still doing videos on that last time we looked into it, which puts it back many years now.
Well, his wife and his
family's
nieces are buried in it. They're buried in it. Yeah.
Sister-in-laws.
Are they his sisters?
Kardashians? There's like, how many? 3 daughters?
Talking about the younger girls who are models now. What's their names? I don't remember the names.
Chloe and...
No. The young girls.
I don't know.
Like, they're like 18. They're models.
Aren't those Kim Kardashian sisters? I don't know this stuff.
I don't know how the family... You're right, I have to look it up.
I do know he made a joke once about how there's no male energy in that family.
No male energy?
He didn't have...
Of course not. It's a bunch of women and a transsexual.
Yes. You can't say transsexual, Daniel.
A transvestite.
Can't say that either.
A tranny.
Transgender.
A tranny.
A
I'm
tranny.
getting them all wrong. A tranny.
When did they stop saying transsexual?
Transgender.
Because I haven't heard that since like a Friends episode.
Well, I'm old, okay.
Back in
Thanks
like
for dating me.
The 90s. Well, that's what I thought it was when I was a kid, and all of a sudden nobody says that anymore.
Anyway, going back to the Kanye's a Christian now thing, it makes me wonder, like, if he's truly a Christian and he's really convicted, then there's going to be some interesting family dynamics going on with him and his family, because they're weird. You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on if his wife is...
His wife got famous from a sex tape. Literally. That's why she's famous.
Okay, people do turn their lives around.
I know. So, someone else is going to have to turn around as well, because I don't think it's them. They haven't professed Christianity.
Well, what I was going to say is that I guess it depends on what exactly the dynamic of their relationship is. She comes off as a ditz, so he doesn't come off as overly intelligent either. But I guess if they have a traditional marriage dynamic of her being submissive, then it would make sense that she would... If he's, going to church and he's reading a Bible, which I would wonder about.
Yeah.
Given the way he talks, maybe not. then one could assume that she will do that, and their children will be exposed to Christianity.
North and...
I don't know.
I just know one of them is named North because it's Northwest and it's kind of silly. I was going to say dumb, but it's not dumb. It's just silly.
No, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we know somebody with a certain name like that, but I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
Yeah. So, I think it's perfectly plausible. I mean, for goodness sake, Saul was stoning early Christians.
That's a good point.
Right, Saul? Paul? Was Saul?
Same guy.
Yeah. My brain went all the way back to Old Testament for a second there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, God saves people in all sorts of situations, but it's hard when you see tweets from people like, this guy's gonna save so many people. So many people are gonna come to Jesus because of this guy. And I'm looking at his past stuff and I'm thinking...
Yeah, not if they're listening to old albums, which are out there.
Is he
going
to round up his old albums and burn them like Cat Stevens? Like, you know? So, and especially when you see stuff like, I don't know, there's just so much creepy, obviously, demon-worshipping stuff in the music industry. You know, Beyonce has all sorts of, you know... spiritual looking stuff. Like, she dressed up as a goddess. She has photo shoots of her dressed up like, you know,
the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, holding a baby, and just like someone who doesn't know anything and thinks they're just slightly spiritual might look at that and think, oh, that's so nice, she's drawing attention to religion, and instead of that doesn't look right,
instead of that's heresy.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't ever dress up like God or any of these Christian iconography. You know, you shouldn't do that. You
know, and you didn't agree with me, I don't think, but there was one performance Beyonce did recently that, you know, at one point during the video, I was like, that looks exactly like Moloch.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I was just...
Well, isn't she the one that had a performance where there was like a giant goat head and...
No, that was Madonna, right?
Well, she's a totally different category, but I'm pretty sure Beyonce straight up had a giant goat skull that she was, like, caressing or whatever in one of her performances.
It could have been any of them, really.
Horns and...
Well, Madonna did I think it was actually the performance where she almost broke her neck, too. Where everyone was all dressed up in black and red with horns.
Yeah.
So... with all of that out there, it's just hard not to question things a little bit, the way they look, especially when people start saying, so many people are going to come to God because of this deeply off-putting, former...
body of work from someone.
Yeah, especially when he's, you know, like you said, he's got albums with him wearing the crown of thorns and stuff.
Also, it'd be so easy for this just to be a PR stunt. You know how many more albums he's going to sell?
Yeah.
He's tapping into the Christian demographic after all. You know, all these boneheaded Christians who are swayed by some talking head.
Christians.
Well, yeah, in air quotes. You know, people who are not smart enough to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't spend money on this album just because a rando proclaims to be a Christian. They don't stop to think, oh, he could be lying to me. They think, oh, he's a Christian, I'm going to buy his albums now. Because these new ones are really good. They're so full of Christ. I mean, come on, you're just lining his pockets, you know?
Like, I mean, you could make the same argument about a lot of Christians.
You could make it about any Christian that's producing music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any of them.
And we don't actually care for a lot of Christian music in this household.
I really don't. I have my old school favorites, but I really haven't heard any Christian music in a long time that I really liked.
Well, and you and I always exchange grumpy looks in church. Not our current church. We like our current church. But in churches we've been to before, what's that one song that is not a Christian song that always seems to show up?
It's a stinking Leonard Cohen song. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
It's by Leonard Cohen. Not a Christian. Not a Christian. Not a Christian song. It's so annoying hearing that in church. It drives me crazy. Not a terrible song. I mean, it's well crafted, but it's not a Christian song. No, the songs I prefer are generally written in like the 40s and earlier. Some as early as like the 17 and 1800s, like old school. Those are always the ones I like the best because I'm weird that way.
Well, I tend to take issue with worship music in church that turns into a performance for the lead singer. Like,
yeah,
at our church, occasionally our pastor do a solo or something, and I think that's fine.
Yeah,
but if it's like every single Sunday the lead singer has to show off her vocal skill, like I get kind of, come on, man.
Yeah,
this is not why we're in church.
Yeah. Well, then you're listening to the person and not the corporate worship of everyone, and that's not right. It's a distraction. Then that's why I don't like songs that repeat. I like songs that have a message. Like when you're singing, you can crack open the hymnal and read the lyrics and go, "Wow, this is theologically sound." In fact, I could probably reference the verses this is from. On a lot of those songs, that's the stuff that is, I think, more important to sing in church. Not necessarily better or worse, because the Bible does mention, and I'm terrible at remembering where verses are found, but it mentions like 3 different sorts of songs, the spiritual songs and hymns and one other. But you can fit a lot into the 3 things that it mentions, so you kind of have to broaden the view, not just be curmudgeonly and old school like me.
Yeah. Well, that's not to say that I think that only old hymns are spiritual, and that, good music can't still be made in praise of God. I think that God gave us voices and, the ability to make art and stuff to glorify Him, and, every now and then you do just want to start singing.
Yeah.
And I think it's better if it's something that is wholesome and praiseworthy rather than,
Wow, yeah, sometimes I just want to start singing an old Kanye West album with explicit lyrics. And I move right on into Dr. Dre and
there is nothing
Lil Wayne
about rap music. Say all you want about how Eminem's really skilled. It's just garbage.
He is skilled. I didn't say it wasn't garbage.
That's spewing garbage.
I said he was skilled.
I just saw a thing. I didn't click on it. I just saw a thing on Twitter a while ago about Eminem and QAnon or something.
I wonder what they have to do with each other.
Something about Eminem and Epstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw a tweet by someone earlier that was made a great point. Might have been Stefan Molyneux, actually.
You did that, and I literally looked up where you were looking. I thought you were looking at a spider on the ceiling.
I was accessing my memories by looking up and left.
Oh, okay.
That's true, too. I looked right up and left. No, it made mention of how we can talk about the Russia collusion. Collusion. Not collision. The Russian collision. You collided with a Russian? The Russian collusion narrative ad nauseum for years and years, but nobody's mentioned Epstein in the news. And he listed like 5 other things that no one's talked about in a while. Oh, the Vegas shooting. No one's talked about that.
Well, they decided that there was no reason. Move on.
Yeah, some random dude killed 50 people, allegedly.
Move on.
Yeah, but we don't know why. We just don't know why.
Yeah.
We don't know why this random dude carried like 700 pounds worth of ammo and guns up an elevator in a hotel and then killed a bunch of people out a window. No clue why. We don't know why people heard gunshots from multiple angles in that crowd. No clue why. Stupid.
Sheriff, what's his butt from the Parkland shooting? Didn't he get forced out?
I don't know.
I thought I saw something about that from Dane Lish.
Wasn't he an incompetent lout?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, and then he blamed the NRA for the fact that nobody did anything before the kid allegedly went on a shooting spree.
I blame the NRA for allowing bump stocks to be illegal, so...
Yeah.
Everyone's got to blame him for something.
Anyway. We kind of... Where did we wander off?
We digressed. We were talking about worship music.
Yeah.
And Kanye. I still think he's in the Illuminati and this is all PR stunt. That's my stance.
Well,
he's going to make millions. That's what he's after. He's going to sell so many albums. It's going to be outrageous. Stinking Snoop Dogg has a Christian big...
Can you please move that? I'm afraid you're going to bump it or the cat's going to... Thank you. Or the cat's going to show up at some point.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg. I'm pretty sure he has a gospel album.
Well, don't you know that black people have a special connection to God?
Their own special connection?
Apparently.
Is it more specialer than my connection?
Specialer, according to that video we watched about Beyonce Mass.
Wow, that is racist in the best way.
Because
good for
everybody in the Bible was a POC.
That's right. Even the white people.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? White's a color.
Anyway. I feel like there's something else we're going to talk about.
Well, we were talking about Charlie Kirk earlier, which I don't have much to say because I don't know hardly anything about the guy except that he looks like a bobblehead.
A little bit. He reminds me of a cross between Dwight Schrute and James Franco. No, I am. I caught the tail end or the 3/4 of Red Ice live stream today. And they went over some clips that were pretty much just people asking Charlie Kirk why America has to give so much to Israel, why they're our special friend, even to our own detriment. And I certainly don't think that we need to throw Israel under the bus, because I don't think that any country in the world is out for the best interests of its friends. I think every country is out for itself. I don't believe in a moral country. I don't think such a thing exists. There are moral people. Countries have no motivation except, for their own betterment, I think. But for some reason, Western nations right now seem to be out for the betterment of other nations. Yeah, that is a strange relationship where we watched one video. The guy had a great point. Why are we giving literally billions of dollars to Israel when there's a bunch of veterans on the streets that could use some mental health? Why aren't the billions helping those guys out? It makes sense. We should probably look after our veterans. Yeah. And Charlie Kirk wouldn't answer it. He just got exceptionally offended because the guy said something that he claimed was a conspiracy theory. Yeah, he dodged it and got all butthurt about it. And there were a number of clips like that. I couldn't find them all. And obviously we can't find Red Ice on YouTube easily. Oh, they done got. Yeah. So I don't know. I agree with something from Elijah Schaefer. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with him in that I think people are a bit ridiculous with their extreme, I love Israel so much, it is the greatest country in the world, and people they're all so evil over there. I think people are inherently evil. Only individuals are moral. Nations are not moral. But kind of lost my train of thought there. It just bothers me when people are on either side of that. Yeah, it's weird to be extreme. All Jews are evil, but I do think, why are we doing this to our own detriment? Yeah, I think it's advantageous to be their allies because they seem to have similar values for themselves as we do for ourselves, and therefore we kind of have common goals, if that makes sense. But you're right, we shouldn't promote them to the point of being detrimental to ourselves. We should promote ourselves first, and then they can promote themselves first, and we can both progress together, not... Yeah. Yeah, and they aren't hurting for economy. They don't necessarily need our aid anymore. I don't know. We haven't looked into the deep geopolitical ins and outs of the Israel-U.S. relationship, but it seems to me that they have a pretty thriving economy. You know what I mean? And if you listen to... put themselves into a position of prosperity
in the world.
Yeah.
So why are we giving them billions of dollars?
Which, good for them. I mean...
Yeah, that's fine.
Countries... And I said this earlier, I'm not well informed on the conflict over there.
No, me neither.
But I think my point earlier was that no country in the world was formed without bloodshed. That's just how countries are formed. That's how things are done. Alaska was bought and paid for. And even that had conflict. Mostly with the Russians, yeah. I'm bad with Alaska history.
Yeah, there was some pretty heavy-duty conflict between the natives and the Russians.
Isn't there still bad feeling? Well, obviously there's bad feelings. You see a lot of racist stuff from some natives.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the Russians basically committed a bit of genocide here and there with the natives, which is pretty gnarly. They rounded them up and did all kinds of gnarly things.
I think there was a native village torched here way back when.
Yeah, there's been some pretty nasty stuff happened in the local history.
But I mean that's just the history of the world, and it's naive.
That's the way it goes.
It's naive to think that that's not how nations are built, or people succeed. And I think the mistake nowadays is that people aren't used to that anymore. So when they see it in recent history, even, if one side purchases land and then ends up in conflict anyway, which is, as I understand it, the history of Israel, say, whichever side started it, that's how nations happen.
Well, according to Prager University, which laid out a lot of what I know about it, and I kind of doubt they fed me a bunch of lies, they actually offered to sell land to Palestinians? Or did they... Something about that, and they turned them down?
According to PragerU, they purchased the land, and then they were attacked, and they took land during the conflict, and then they gave some of it back, but that wasn't enough.
Oh.
But there's a lot of people who really don't like PragerU because Prager's a Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard. I think it's harder to know. Well, maybe not. We've talked about this before. It's hard to know what the true history of something is if you're not directly involved in it.
Yeah.
Because we are so dependent.
And even then, you're not going to know.
Yeah.
You know everything the government does?
No.
Like, if we went to war right now, and the government spat out a reason for why we were going to that war, would you really, truly know that was the truth?
Yeah.
You don't, because it's just a bunch of bigwigs at the top that made a decision. Could be a totally different reason. You don't know.
Or we could not be at war at all.
Right.
That kind of ties back to our red pilling thing from the other day, is that something could be totally fabricated nowadays. Completely. We could be told we're going to war. Everyone could think we're going to war.
Yeah, it's just like that movie Wag the Dog. Remember that?
Never watched
you never
it.
watched it. We should watch that movie. It's about a bunch of guys who are hired. They're like movie guys, and they're hired to manufacture a war on TV.
I've seen a breakdown about it.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating because it contains a lot of crazy truth about what they could do. And imagine when it was just radios and newspapers, and the newspapers just printed what they were fed by another organization. So all your local newspapers just print the story they were fed that came from a singular source somewhere, and all the radios print the same story. That's it.
Well, and people think that the fake news thing is new, or that it doesn't even happen. The other day, Rush Limbaugh was talking about some reporter who pretended to do a news bit from another country or like some specific location, and she was just on a green screen.
Did you see that video that came out just recently? I think it was ABC, and they were talking about conflict in Syria. The news report was conflict in Syria and had these missiles and tracer bullets and explosions, and the raw footage came out. It was like a test field the military uses in the States somewhere.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
it's just a blatant lie.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a perfect example of it. I don't know. It's hard to just say don't believe anything you see or hear nowadays.
Yeah.
But it kind of seems like it at this point. Like, all you can do is read your Bible.
You have to take every piece of information that comes from far enough away from you with a grain of salt. Every single piece of it, you have to.
Even
you can't trust any of it.
Even the other day, somebody found a dog here in town covered in blood.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the guy was there. He was looking at the dog, and he told his wife, "This dog looks like it got shot." He's looking at the dog.
Yeah.
He took a picture of the dog. Dog looks happy as can be.
Yeah.
No wound, covered in blood. The woman posted on Facebook, and within minutes, people were just frothing at the mouths, ready to hunt down some guy who'd shot a dog. There's no reason to shoot a dog. How dare you shoot a dog? What kind of pussy are you to be threatened by a dog and shoot it in self-defense? The next day, it comes out, the dog rolled on a dead fish. The dog wasn't even injured.
That's one bloody dead fish. They're usually not that bloody.
Well, clearly it was a fresh dead fish, otherwise it would have stank.
There's a lot of those around.
It's a perfect example of one person said something ill-advised to his wife. His wife got on social media, and everyone was ready to hunt down someone who'd shot a dog.
And this is a dog-oriented town.
Oh my gosh, people are weird about their dogs.
Thousands of dogs in this town. Didn't we hear a number a little while ago about how many dogs are in town?
I don't know, but it was 1,000.
It's outrageous. Yeah, there must be... I'll bet you there's 12,000 dogs.
Well,
I bet you there's at least one dog for every 3 people in this town.
If not more. I've seen people out walking like 4 dogs at a time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's a perfect example of... And I've seen multiple posts like that recently on social media. Somebody saying something and people getting up in arms before all the information is out, or people warning, hey, maybe don't start a lynch mob.
Well, I believe everything I read on the internet, don't you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, everything on the internet is true. That's the takeaway for today's episode.
Well, you heard about AOC trying to grill Mark Zuckerberg
about how she could just, pay for straight up lies about Republicans on Facebook, and he wouldn't do anything about that, and that would be okay, right?
She probably does.
Well, for once, he was the voice of reason, saying, "Well, I don't think that it's okay to print lies, but I don't think that's our place to police that."
So, you're saying that I could just pay for straight up lies to be disseminated?
He's like, you could, but we're also not here to police that.
Which is
weird.
Yeah, I don't know. You gotta wonder, is there a certain point at which social media will realize, oh crap, look what the world we created, or are they just too far gone?
Well, it's not a problem. I mean, it is a problem in social media, but it's not... How do I phrase this? The problem is that people believe what they read.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily social media's fault.
Mm-hmm.
I could pay money to send out false advertisements too. And false information. And people might believe it because it's on the internet. That's the problem with the people. I don't think it was social media that caused it. People have been believing what they hear in the media for years, long before social media was a thing. You know what I mean?
But social media is policing what can be there now.
Right. So the people who run social media know that people read what's on the internet and believe it as true.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using that to their advantage, basically. To further their agenda. That's where the big problem is.
I gotta wonder about that. Because I've never been swayed, I don't think, by something that I disagreed with on social media. I think people see something that already...
Did you believe that the dog got shot when you first read about it?
I was questioning it, yeah. Because they showed a picture of a dog that was covered in blood, but I did think it looked weirdly happy.
Yeah.
But... if you're not predisposed to already believing something, could be possible, and there's a lot of weird stuff happening in our town right now, so someone very easily could have just shot a dog.
That's true.
People were kidnapping, people have had their cats kidnapped here in town.
If a vicious dog was charging me, I'd probably pop him.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably be taken to court by one of the weird dog lovers here.
I've been chased by dogs before. It's not fun. Not a fun experience.
Yeah, my sister had a dog latch onto her leg when she first moved to town. She was just out riding a bicycle. Oh, he's just really friendly.
I had a dog bite me right on the buttocks.
My older sister had a dog bite her on the face when she was a little kid.
Holy cow.
Yeah, she was freaked out by huskies for a long time. I like huskies. They're pretty dogs, but people are dumb about their dogs.
Yep.
And I have no problem telling people that your dog is not your baby. Those sorts of people bug me so much.
Well, yeah, because my baby's not vicious enough to snap your Achilles tendon with her jaw. Although it'd be funny to see her try.
Yeah.
Babies aren't vicious and dangerous. Dogs can be.
Yeah. Well,
even little ankle dogs can be.
Oh yeah,
can be very mean.
I had a little ankle biter latch onto my foot when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, they're not nice.
Messed up my foot for a while. Yeah. Anyway.
To be fair, if a Chihuahua was charging me, I probably wouldn't pop him with my gun. I'm talking about a larger, heavier dog.
Clearly.
A 140-pound dog. If a Chihuahua was doing that, I would punt him. Like a football.
No, there was a dog in my hometown that got chained up outside. Somebody's Akita got loose and it ate it. So.
What ate what now?
A Akita ate somebody's dog.
A Chihuahua?
A littler dog. I'm not sure what type.
Wow, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Which, I mean, people are dumb about their dogs.
Yeah.
Like, they, say what you want about how people are dumb about, their bratty kids. It's a bigger deal when it's a dog that can kill you.
Yeah, a full-grown animal that weighs as much as some people and
and people
has very strong muscles.
Yeah, and of course I do agree with the thing about, bad dog owners, but at a certain point, you can't do anything about an animal that's trained and extremely vicious. That's why people seem to be careful not to, ever let a dog kill a chicken, because they'll keep killing chickens.
It's just like that movie, The Edge. Remember the movie The Edge?
No.
With Anthony Hopkins?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that. What's it about?
It's about man-killer bears.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Once a bear kills a man, he gets a taste for man flesh. Then you really gotta watch out for him, because he's coming for you. That was a rad movie. We should watch it. We should watch that movie sometime soon.
We should watch.
It's much better than I'm making it sound. It's about this old guy. He's like a super rich guy, and he gets all protected by people, right? Because he's rich, he gets treated differently. Mm-hmm. But his plane goes down, or his helicopter goes down in the woods with two other dudes, and he ends up being the smart guy who can survive. He knows how to survive and make this trek through the woods with a bear chasing him, like a man killer bear that sits after him. And it does gets him, and he ends up surviving because he's really literate and reads all these survival books and whatnot. It's interesting. It's a cool movie.
I was gonna say we should watch the documentary about Timothy Treadwell. It'll make you hate surfer dudes.
Oh man, I don't want to watch that. I've seen parts of it. Ugh. I've listened to the footage. It's not fun to listen to.
I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about all the stuff
leading up. Guy's such a bonehead. I hate him.
Yeah.
He's the hero of the conservationist hippie, though.
So you know this. I was working out.
Oh boy.
I have little children running around, and I have this hippie knock on our door, middle of the day, and try talking to me about the environmental conservation, blah, 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 blah. I'm sweaty, I'm in workout clothes, and I've got little children running around, you're not home. I'm just giving off all the telltale signs of, I don't want to talk to you, and I'm impatient. And he still tried talking to me about mining, and how, this thing we're talking about, it won't interfere with mining. Because I told him right off the bat, I'm for mining, I'm for logging, I'm for drilling. He latched on to mining for some reason. I just, even if I wanted to talk to you, I got little children here. I got no time.
Mm-hmm.
So I should have told him that we were on a street full of Democrats, and he'd probably have better luck elsewhere.
Yeah, go that way. Walk that way and knock on doors. He probably did.
Yeah.
If he made it to our house, he knocked on doors before us. There's people on either side. He had to start somewhere. I doubt he started in the middle.
But he looked just like the sort of person who comes from down south, from California, gets a job at the Forest Service, and then walks around, getting you to sign petitions and lecturing Alaskans about how they are destroying the environment.
I was just thinking that there's two pieces of romanticized idiocy that I really, really don't like, and they both involve Alaska. One is the Timothy Treadwell thing. Mm-hmm. Let's go live with the bears because we love them so much and we hate people, and let's drag our girlfriend with us even though she doesn't necessarily want to go out there, and then let's both get killed by bears because we're stupid.
And bring a gun.
Such a romantic story. He really cared about those animals. Wah, wah, wah. He's an idiot. He got himself killed. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for his girlfriend because apparently she didn't. The story is that she didn't necessarily want to go out there with him, but he kind of dragged her along.
Yeah,
they both died. Not cool.
In the footage, can't you hear her asking, "Where's the gun?"
I don't recall that.
I never listened to the footage.
Something about attempting to use a frying pan to beat off a bear, which ain't gonna work. Yeah, it's not fun to listen to.
I never listened. I didn't want to, but I feel like I've heard that she was asking about a gun. He didn't bring one.
Yeah. The other thing, the other story that everybody romanticizes that ended in Alaska as well because the guy was an idiot was the movie made a movie Into the Wild. That guy. Oh, it's such a beautiful story about a guy whose father was rich. Oh, poor guy. And wanted him to have a career just like him and wanted him to go to business school. And he didn't want to. He just wanted to travel in his van and walk across America barefoot and learn to live off the land. And it was such a beautiful story because he was breaking the chains of the society he was built into. And wham. Dude moves to Alaska, lives in a bus for a while, and dies of like an infection out in the woods.
After he died of hypothermia.
No, he died of exposure, but it was because he had I think it was because he had an infection. Like he couldn't get out and do stuff.
I see.
Like he couldn't build a fire, he couldn't move or whatever. Stupid.
Yeah.
Like so stupid. Like I guess good for you for like having the courage to do what you want to do, but what a pointless end. It doesn't do anything for anybody. He didn't help anyone. He didn't even help himself. He died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just...
And that's what I didn't know about until like a few years ago, and I don't know the details of it still, but it just bothers me. These people who come from down south know absolutely nothing about Alaska, have no idea how massive it is, how not in danger of losing its forest is.
Yeah, it's true.
How not in danger some of the wildlife is. Like, you want to get into wildlife stories. People were in tears when someone shot Romeo the wolf. He was so friendly. He played with our dogs.
We're lucky Romeo didn't kill a child.
Yeah.
Because Romeo was a dangerous animal.
Yeah.
Stupid Romeo.
People.
I'm surprised there's no movie about him.
Oh,
there probably is.
There's a book about him. There's a plaque about him out by the glacier.
Yeah.
People, he'd play with our dogs. Yeah. When he wasn't hungry. Like, I'm sure.
And when he was hungry, dog went missing.
yeah, I'm sure pets went missing. And, people didn't suspect Romeo. But I think I've said this on a podcast before. We think our dog got killed by wolves. Because we never found her. And there were wolves hanging around that year.
Yep.
So, yeah, I have no patience for stuff like that. And my sister worked in the governor's office a couple administrations ago, and she had to deal with constituent relations, and they would get letters from little school children down south California that their teachers made them write about the polar bears and the wolves and how you guys need to stop that mean Sarah Palin from shooting wolves from helicopters.
What was it? Who was telling me that? Man, I can't remember the full details or many of them. Something about how this team came up to this little village up north to film polar bears, and they specifically only filmed where this place that was known to have like sickly polar bears.
Mm-hmm.
Like the polar bears would get sick, and they'd go to this specific spot to like heal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're all mangy and patchy. They're not healthy polar bears.
Mm-hmm.
In this one spot, thousands of healthy polar bears. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just get on a snow machine and go to them. You know, they're out there. There's healthy ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
They'll try and kill you. They're very mean. Like, for anyone listening who doesn't know about polar bears,
You can find freaky footage.
it's my understanding that polar bears are the only bears in the world that will actively hunt and eat a human. They're literally a food source for these bears.
They're massive, too.
They're huge. They're bigger than grizzlies. But grizzlies don't hunt man to eat them for a food source. Grizzlies are scared of man most of the time. You put your arms and go ooga booga, and a grizzly bear freaks out and runs away. They're pretty skittish. Polar bears are not. They will eat you. They're not nice.
Have you seen that video? There's probably tons of them, of that polar bear going up to a bus full of tourists and just like standing on the side and looking in.
I haven't seen that, but I probably just saw it as like a sardine can full of nice food.
Yeah, I'll probably figure out how to get it open. Bears can open car doors.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if they can't, with the handle, they'll just put their claws in the seam and rip the door apart.
Yeah, I
So
feel
hard.
like there was a story, probably not here in town, but somewhere in Alaska last year, of a bear getting stuck in someone's car and like messing up the inside. Really bad.
Kind of funny. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Apparently this team went up and filmed all these mangy, sickly polar bears, and then used it in their big film. Oh, the poor polar bear! Their habitat is being diminished by the melting ice caps. Blah blah blah.
They're getting fat off
they're
the
all
melting ice
dying.
caps.
It's so sad. They have nowhere to go because there's no ice to live on. Look how mangy and sickly they are because their habitat. When there's like thousands of healthy ones right next to you, but you're filming the mangy one.
Only in
It's just the narrative. They're just steering the narrative. It's messed up. Anyway.
Only in clown world would people think that a warmer, easier to survive in climate means that wildlife is suffering.
It gets warmer up there. Guess what's going to happen? A huge rodent population explosion. Just gangbusters. Voles. Oh man, will there be voles. And guess what the polar bears are going to eat? Lots and lots and lots of voles. Delicious little morsels. They're going to get so fat. You're going to have a bunch
Really?
of
And
fat.
go for something that small?
Sure. Why not?
I know. I just, logically speaking, it's easier to survive when you're not fighting the cold.
That's true.
So it irritates me when people pretend like polar bears can only survive on ice.
Yeah. It's goofballs. Well, that's a pretty good podcast.
Kind of got off into weird territory there.
Yeah, it's great. I can have interesting hookish title for this podcast because we talked about dogs, we talked about dirty hippies, we talked about Kanye West. It's got everything we need.
Yeah. There's a lot of dirty hippies in this town. Ugh.
There's a lot of dirty hippies everywhere. They're like the plague.
Yeah.
They should probably be eradicated. Dirty hippies.
Mm.
We should start capturing them and giving them a bath and cutting their hair and putting them in a suit and telling them to get a job. What's wrong with you?
Make them watch that episode of How I Met Your Mother where Barney.
Suit up.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the episode. Like us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Hinterlands Feed. Email us at www. That's not an email. What's the email?
I don't know. It's really late, so.
The Hinterlandsmedia at gmail.com.
Is that anywhere on Twitter?
Yeah, it's if you go to the Twitter, it's on the thing.
Okay.
Well, the website's on the thing. The website is www.hinterlandsmedia.com.
We should get a sticky and put it on the computer screen.
I should have. I wrote all of it down once. Now I just do it from memory, and it's much worse than if I wrote it down.
Well, the takeaway of this podcast: view everything with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Believe everything you hear on the internet. That's my advice.
Ha. We were going to talk about how we shouldn't just follow any old conservative, quote, leader. And we're going to talk about Jordan Peterson,
That's
Stefan
true.
Molyneux.
Well, we already have our topic for the next one. But don't say it all because, well, you can't, because we're gonna digress and talk about something totally random. It's gonna be brilliant. So, apologies for the somewhat directionlessness of this episode, but we gotta get an episode out because, man, are we bad at that. I guess that's it.
Okay, bye.
Bye, thanks.